Good evening, everybody, and welcome to an unexpected, unscheduled, impromptu, and surprise, fun late night live stream where I'm sitting here and Alex is going to be joining me, but not in a black and white grey box on the screen because he's right here.
Hello. Good evening, Charlie.
Good evening. I'm actually with Alex in his home in London because today he and I have been to a meeting with a journalist at the BBC to talk about what I want to talk about in this video, which is what I'm calling the discrepancy. And if you only remember one thing from this video,
We're still Halloween's over.
It's the discrepancy. No, look at all
the skulls.
The skull. Okay, so we're still very much in Halloween. And this evening, by the way, I also want to point out, Alex and I have been out and enjoyed a delicious meal and some wine, thanks to
Andis
and
a number of other people. But so Andis really was very generous.
Yeah. So in our last live stream together, we got some incredibly generous super thanks. I think they are, which we put to good use this evening.
And you ate what the Polish would call slimak.
Did I?
You did. You had slimak.
Amazing. Well, it was delicious. All of it was delicious. It was actually so good I had 2 starters.
Yeah, you did. You greedy bastard.
Yeah.
But you were a complete lightweight on the wine. So, you know,
yes, well, that's because I'm not supposed to be. Yeah. Guys, I want to get straight into this. This is really important. As you all know, from the beginning of this channel, I have been of the very strong opinion, because of my contacts in the estate agency industry and my insight and knowledge and through the CRM systems I've got and the data I've got in Best Agent, that house prices, as you and I think of house prices, which is how much can I sell my house for, as opposed to what's the national average, but what can I sell my house for? House prices have been falling faster than it appears. And in the last couple of days, thanks completely to Alex sniffing out the discrepancy.
It's the anomaly on the event horizon.
It is. Okay, here's the discrepancy. The discrepancy is this. It is the difference between the government's land registry ONS house price data figures, where they give you one figure, and they call it an average, but it is so distorted and manipulated.
It's treated. It is a treated, seasonally adjusted figure.
Logarithmized.
Yes, yeah, and sensibly so.
Yeah.
They don't want to panic the public when things drop on a month-by-month basis, and so they suppress both rises and falls, supposedly.
Yeah.
So that you end up with a more even comparison month to month.
Yeah.
So it flattens the fluctuations.
Yes, Alex can see the chat. You can see the chat, can't you, on your screen?
Yes. Yeah. And yes, somebody's got it. Slimak is snail in Polish. He did eat the snails. He was a slimak eater.
So the discrepancy, because Nick Jones is asking, what is the discrepancy? In fact, I'm going to put your question on the screen because that's the question I'm asking. So it's the difference between the government's officially calculated, and this is not a criticism of the ONS house price index. Okay, this is an observation of the difference between that number and the movements from the same data set if you simply calculate the very simple averages, but the median or the mean, it doesn't matter. We're going to look at both of those. And I've now had enough time to look at it. Alex had enough time to look at it. And the journalists at the BBC who saw it today are all satisfied that this is a real discrepancy. We're not saying the house price index is wrong.
No.
Okay? We're just saying that what it reports is not the same as what we think of as what house prices are worth. And so what I want to show you, and I've got some graphs here and the original data. Oh, no, I haven't. It's on my... I'll find that in a minute anyway. But let me just show you this, because here's the bombshell. The discrepancy, which we're going to work on defining. By the way, it's going to take a few weeks because the BBC want to actually go through the BBC Verify department and actually do the calculations themselves.
I find that really quite offensive, that they're going to verify work that I have done. I mean, Jesus Christ.
I would be extremely happy, no disrespect, I'd be extremely happy to just have that additional rubber stamp.
I think it's bureaucracy in the extreme.
Sure, but to have that on there, but you know, as they said, it could take a few weeks.
I mean, he's got a team of people. I mean, they have a whole department that will verify data. They've got statisticians, and it means I don't have to do so much fucking work, which really is quite wonderful.
So the discrepancy is, okay, let me give you an example, okay? The Land Registry house price data, the raw figures for September, if you break them down by flats, terraced houses, semi-detached houses, and detached houses, and we just look at flats, I'm going to show you a graph in a minute. That graph, well, the numbers from the spreadsheet of the night are showing that the average price of flats in England and Wales in September 2023's completions is 19% lower than the average completion prices of flats in England and Wales from September 2022.
May 22.
No.
Sorry, September. You're quite right.
So it's year on year.
Yeah. I know. I did it. So.
The average price of flats in England and Wales has dropped, according to that data, 19% in 12 months. All right. Now that's just flats. I'm just going to focus on that because the point I want to get across to people who are contemplating this data as to whether or not they should move or not, is that without criticizing any of the indices, you need to understand that what they are showing, because of how they're calculated and squashing the humps, as I call it, but you call it flattening the fluctuations.
I do.
They are fluctuation flatteners.
I can't tell that joke.
No, fluctuation flatteners is what happens. So in other words, they subdue the changes, and the bigger the changes are, the more they're subdued, especially on the downside.
Well, and this is where it is the discrepancy, because you would expect, I have no problem with them flattening a line as long as they flatten it from both sides. So if you have an unusual hump, they will reduce it. And if you have an unusual low, they will raise it. So what you end up with is a nice, even curve. And over time, you would then have something that equates to a rough approximation without the peaks and troughs. That's why they seasonally adjust. That seasonal adjustment 101 is you want to have something so you compare month for month. If you know that nobody goes shopping in January because of all the Christmas spend, then what you do is you raise the January figure so that you add a weighting to it, and that way you've got something that you can compare because you have a trend that's followed over years. The problem is that since COVID, the trend has changed. And so I think what's happened is that what used to be a very highly correlated index, the house price index for average prices and median prices, and the index itself, there was a good correlation. But I think that people's behavior has changed so much over the last 2 years that what's happening is it is not allowing falls. So it is raising the falls as it should, but it's raising the falls much more than it is
lowering the peaks.
Exactly. And so what appears is you appear to have a flat line. It appears...
I'm going to show that graph.
Yes.
Yeah. So guys, we've got several graphs to show you that will, I hope, and they're all Alex's handiwork. But Chelsea Clements says, isn't Land Registry like 12 to 18 months behind? Yes. So this is why, let me show you this graph. Without further ado, let me just get this graph up on the screen. That graph on the screen is the data I just referred to, but it goes back 18 months. And what you'll see is in the last 3 months, it's dropped quite sharply off down. And that last data point is the September 2023. This is just for flats. So look at the title at the top, right? The median price paid and average price paid for flats in England and Wales. So it's not Scotland, it's not UK, it's just England and Wales. So we're comparing like with like. But that is comparing, although the graph goes back to May 2023, 22, yeah. So that's 18 months on that graph, okay? So when you listen to what the ONS house price index is saying, and most recently it said that house prices were up year on year across the UK, 0.2%. We're not questioning that that's what their index states.
Yes.
But if you are a first-time buyer looking at buying a flat, that's not what's happened.
No, not at all.
Not even close. So let me now show the next. And by the way, so September completions reflect transactions that were agreed, where the seller accepted the buyer's offer roughly, in May. Okay? So what we're looking at, the most recent data point there, and we're going to come on to extrapolation of December, right? What we're going to see in December, this is quite cool. But what you're seeing there is deals that were agreed in May. And so already what you're seeing is that the prices for flats were starting to fall more steeply in May. This will be revised as they update more.
It's a relatively small set at the moment. It's about 10% of the eventual number. But statistics, if you read the books and you do the research, a 10% sample of a full set of data gives you a 95% confidence that it will be plus or minus only about 1.5%.
Right.
So that says that, we may be 1.5% off with this.
Yeah.
But that still only takes you to 17.5%.
Yeah, that's still 17.5% falls year on year for flats in England and Wales. This is government data. This is not mine or Alex's opinion. Mm. This is what the government data is showing.
Yeah.
For flats. Now, we do have the figures for houses and everything else as well, but we're not going to go there because I just want to get this point across.
You're very fixated on flats at the moment.
Now, I now want to show this is Alex's graph that I think very cleverly shows the difference between the purple line, which is the ONS house price index figure, and the green line, which is the raw median figure. Is this just England and Wales, or is this UK?
England and Wales.
Okay. But the ONS figure is UK or not? Is it just England and Wales?
It's all England and Wales.
Okay, so this is all just England and Wales. So the purple line, so both lines are just government data. Okay, This is not a lender. It's not a property portal. No. It's nothing else. This is
and it's available to all of you guys. You can go onto the price paid HM Land Registry price paid website, and you can download this data and look at it. That's where I went to get the data for both. Now the problem is they don't publish the median price on a monthly basis. No. They only publish the house price index, but they give you access to that data.
Yes. So you can, which is what we've done. Now, what you can see is over towards the left-hand side where the purple and the green lines are a bit closer together, they correlate a bit more. But when the green line starts to go down quite steeply, you'll notice that the purple line doesn't go down as steeply. And that is squashing the hump or lifting the udder or something.
Yes.
It's just, sorry, that was a crass thing, but that shows.
By the way, noise, lag is a non-issue here. These two are the
same
price paid in each month, the actual transactions. So it's not about when they were added to the land registry. They may have been added months later, but this is what happened in that month. This is when that transaction, that completion.
The completion date.
Correct.
But there is still the lag from the agreed date. Of about 5 months.
Yeah.
So that's the graph that proves beyond any doubt that there is a discrepancy between what the ONS house price index figure is and what the raw mean price paid data is.
It's as simple as this. If you go back to August of last year, and we've only gone up to August of this year because it's where we have the most data, you can see that at the moment they're saying August to August, prices rose in their house price index. They're saying they went from £304,508 to £304,550. Now, that's only a £42 increase, but it's an increase nonetheless. Whereas in the price paid data, the median price paid across all types of properties, it went in September from £290,000 down to £280,000. So it's a 10 grand drop. And actually, I haven't included the September data because it is a smaller set, but it is £275,000 in September. So another £5,000. So it's quite a big difference between a £42 increase and a £15,000 decrease.
There's the discrepancy.
Well, the discrepancy is you can see as prices rise, the correlation stays pretty similar. The lines are quite close together. But as prices fall, the correlation falls away. And that suggests, and we haven't proved it, that there is a positive bias in terms of if things are going well, we'll incorporate that. We allow that. They can get close to us. But when things are going not so well, we'll continue to let that slip away. Now, I don't think that is deliberate. I think it's a mechanism of people's buying changing dramatically. And what I mean by that is people who've been hit by the cost of living crisis buying the cheaper properties are no longer buying the cheaper properties. They are staying with their parents or they're doing flat shares and renting. And the people who've got money are still buying the more expensive properties. And because of that, it skews the data.
Yeah.
And you see it here.
And it makes the average transaction value, which is not the same as house prices.
Yeah.
The average and this is the thing that blows everybody's mind, right? The average transaction value can go up even when house prices across the board are going down. And this is a very simple mathematical explanation for that. Now, here's the next graph, which is predicting what's going to happen in December using the most strongly correlated leading indicator that goes back 25 years, I think you said.
Oh, well, I've looked at, but even longer than that, I would imagine.
Here it is. Show this term instead. So this is for people who want to know what's happening in the next few months. Right. May I just give my version? So the blue line is the important one to understand here, because the blue line is the mortgage approval value. Okay, the average value of new mortgages approved, which have a roughly 3-month lead on the price paid figure. Okay, so the green line is the raw price paid median land registry data. And again, this is all government data. Nothing else, just correct. Purely verifiable government data that you can all check.
From the Bank of England or Land Registry.
Yeah. So this is, and what we can do is use the blue line, because look how the blue and the green lines track each other, like tram lines, pretty much.
0.91%.
0.91 correlation, which is very strong. And the red line on the right-hand side is what the median price paid figure is expected to be based on the mortgage approval data that we've got, which would mean that not just flats, but across the entire market, the median price paid come December is going to be 11% down.
11.5%.
From the peak or from year on year?
From the peak. Now, the only way that could not be true is if people can magic up additional deposits.
Okay, before we go there, I just want to point out again, this is the discrepancy. So what we're showing and expecting that will be an 11% price fall from land registry data from the peak to December. We're saying 11% from the raw data. The ONS house price index will say something different.
Yes.
Significantly higher. That's the discrepancy. Okay, so both numbers can be got from the government's data. It's just how it's interpreted. So, So what are you about to say something about mortgage values and deposits?
Okay. So if you go back to the early 2000s, because people were wealthier, they used to put in, and interest rates were higher. Interest rates in the early 2000s were the same as they are now, about 5.25% roughly. And so at that interest rate, it was not in your favor to take as big a loan as you could. You actually put down as much cash as you could.
Yeah.
And so people paid, on average, higher deposits, normally in the range of 18 to 22%. Whereas now people only put in 13 to 17% as a deposit. But now that interest rates have gone from 0.5% up to 5.25%,
back to 5.25%. Yeah,
we're back to the 2000s. But the problem is, people have had an illusion of wealth for the last 15 years, but actually they're much poorer now.
Mm-hmm.
So if they can find an extra 5% deposit, then these mortgage stats, the correlation will start to go awry. But I think it's unlikely that they are going to find an extra 10 to £15,000, which is what we're talking about, out of their back pocket. Now, there's the bank of mum and dad, but the bank of mum and dad has been hit pretty hard recently.
And the bank of COVID.
But, that's what we're talking about. So it is most likely that an 11.5% decrease between September of 22 and December of 23, which will fit this mortgage pattern, is what we'll see.
Now, what I want everyone to understand here, okay, just let me just sort of half shrink it down so you can see me a bit better, because it's so important to anyone basing their moving decision, their sale or their purchase decision, on official government figures. You've got to understand that the official government figures contain both what the ONS is saying and what we are saying.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Both things are true, and it's important to understand the difference between them.
It's Schrodinger's housing figures. This house is both dead and alive.
Yeah, exactly. It's so important because I am feeling immensely vindicated because it just hasn't felt right. Everyone's going, "Oh, house prices have been holding up remarkably well." No, they haven't. Not as well as people think they have.
No. Oh, so it's two things. Number one, house prices have held up much better than I expected because of wage growth.
Yeah.
And yet, house prices have nowhere near held up to the level that the house price index reports. So the truth, as always, is somewhere in the fucking middle. It is true that house prices have fallen further than house price indexes report, but they have still not yet fallen as far as I might have expected by this time this year.
Well, we don't know how far they've fallen.
No, and that's the problem with bloody house prices, is we won't know for quite some months.
So, guys, this is raw land registry data, and you can look at the average figure or the median figure, but the point is compare that with what the ONS is saying. Okay? We've got an average, raw average, unmolested, unmanipulated average year on year, September to September, average across all property types, price drop of 12.6% on the available data so far, which is not much, but which may not change by much. Even if it changed by 1.5%, it's still a 10% price fall in the last 12 months.
Yeah.
So we're looking at definitely 10% year-on-year house price falls across all property types across the country. Is that UK? That one?
That is UK.
Yeah, the whole UK. Is that what's being reported in the media?
No, sorry, mate. That's England and Wales.
Okay, it's England and Wales, right. But is that anywhere close to what's being reported by any of the media?
3.3%, I think,
right?
is the highest.
3.3%, 5% we've had.
Yeah, but they've revised that.
Yeah, they revised it. So, and the ONS is saying, well, actually, they're year on year pretty much flat.
But what is, and this is the bit nobody gets, is because of mortgage approvals, unless there's this magic money pot, the further falls are baked in.
Yeah.
If mortgage approvals have dropped by an additional £15,000 per property, then that is going to be reflected by December. So this is true. This is true September to September. But wait another 3 months, see where it's going to go.
Yeah, it's going to. I want to come on to that. I want to come on to the fact that when you factor in the time lag and what's happened since those deals were agreed, which way it's going. So we might we're now guessing, right? But at the coalface today, we could already be talking about average prices strictly in the terms of what average means, which isn't the actual fucking average price, right? Being agreed today at the front line of agency for flats could be already 25 to 30% off the highs. It's 19% there.
That's a bit harsh, mate.
No, it could be.
No, that 11.5% includes
No.
time. It includes time of that.
Flats, I'm talking about.
Oh,
right.
What? Can I give you an example? So after we did our BBC interview today,
yes,
and we had a chat with. Can I mention his name?
Better not. Just not yet.
When I had a chat with him, he said, "Oh well, if you can give me an example." So I went and I sat there and I looked at Battersea Reach. I went onto Zoopla and I looked at, and it's basically Juniper Drive. It's one road in Battersea which has all of the flats that were built in about, 2012, 2013, along the riverfront there. And there are 88 of those flats are currently for sale.
Yep.
Many of them came on quite recently.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at 40 before I got bored. And 30 of the 40 flats were either at their 2014 value. So they had been sold, last time they'd sold 750,000 in 2014.
Yep.
Currently on the market, 725.
Yep.
And you go, hang on.
Right. So in a nutshell, what we're saying is a lot of the flats on the market now are not selling, even though they're on the market at prices that are nominally not much different from 2014.
And that's why the audience...
10 years, nearly.
And when you do that in real terms, it is an enormous loss.
Yes.
So your audience, all these guys who are on there at the moment, have a look in your area. Have a look at flats. It doesn't matter whether they're new build, which I think come off quicker. I mean, there's a premium to new build, which you lose anyway, generally. But have a look at flats in your area, on Rightmove, on Zoopla. Have a look at when they were last sold and come back with the ones that are showing, oh, well, I sold in 2016 for 800,000 and now I'm on the market for 650.
Yeah.
Let's have some evidence from you guys.
Barbie PUK on YouTube says, if you measure from the peak price paid per property raw data in August 22 to September 23, the actual drop in average price is 17.8%.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, I know. That's exactly what you were just looking at.
So, guys, why is the media not reporting this? Why? I don't know why, but let's just be uncontroversial about this and go, maybe because the media are accepting the press releases that they're getting from the providers of the indices. They don't question it. So they get, they get Halifax, they get Nationwide, who issue press releases, and they are unchallenged. Mm-hmm. That is something that's absolutely true. No journalist that I'm aware of has ever challenged
investigative journalism. Right. It is that simple. They are reporters,
into any of them. Rightmove, Zoopla, Nationwide, Halifax, even the ONS. It's never challenged or questioned. And we're doing this now because it's quite clear to me that what's happening in reality in the housing market is very different from what all these indices are collectively reporting.
100%.
Now, for those people who are going, okay, Charlie, I'm a bit on the fence here. I mean, I'd like to believe you and I'm listening here, but, are you really saying that all of those big institutions and governments and property portals with their vast amounts of data and their decades of doing this, are you really saying that they're all wrong? No, I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm saying that what they're telling us is not what we actually want to hear, or it's not what they want us to hear either. What they're telling us is a number, and it's a number that's consistent, but it's a number that's affected when the market does unusual things. And so the way they calculate it goes all a bit squiffy and awry in a confused market where transaction volumes drop and demographics change. And people start doing things like, there's suddenly a downsizing movement because of the cost of living that wasn't there before.
Massive move. Let's be honest. COVID was the initiator of this.
Yep.
You had a whole bunch of people move out of London to the country. That made hugely inflated prices in some parts of the countryside. We've now seen quite a lot of people come back to London. We've seen young people just give up on buying and stay in flat shares, renting, or stay with parents. Mm-hmm. So therefore, the only people who have not been affected by the cost of living crisis, the middle class and above, or the older people who have wealth, they are still buying. And those people are only buying, darling, I don't want to move from my 7 bed. You know what I mean? If I have to move into a flat, I think that we should get the penthouse.
Yes.
I mean, that would be very important.
Yes.
So I'm only going to buy
with a star flat in it.
Yeah. Whereas the basement flat in some, renovated area in London is not being bought.
Andis has just done it again. Andis,
oh man,
you
just paid for
our dinner tonight.
I tell you, Andis, am I right in thinking that you are Latvian? Because if so, I was drinking with one of your countrymen a few years ago, and he explained to me how 3 bottles of vodka was a reasonable amount to drink a night. Now, I agree, then only 500 ml, not 750, but that's still 1.5 liters of vodka.
Well, Anders, thank you so much. He says, thanks to your educational videos, you potentially have already saved me tens of thousands of pounds. So I'm more than happy to contribute to a nice glass of wine. As I'm teetotal, I'm not sure if that buys anything good. Yeah, it's
Yeah, it doesn't stop us.
Yes, he's Latvian.
Well, in which case, yes, I thought you were. Fantastic. Anders, God, I can't remember. I was so drunk after he killed me. It was after the James Bond film, Casino Royale.
Oh, yeah.
And he was it was a barman at a bar that I went to on a regular basis. And he was making the Vesper Martini.
Oh, really?
And he was trying it with Fernet Branca and with different things. And he made me try everyone for free.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking killed me. I mean, just destroyed me.
Now, Carsten Ringsing says it's called obfuscation. I am not alleging that there is any intentional deception or misleading in any of these indices. I'm not saying that there is. I'm not saying that there isn't. That's not that's just a sort of ideological discussion, which I am here to try to.
I don't think, honestly,
clear.
I don't think there's obfuscation.
No, I don't think there is either.
I don't think these people, I've met them. I've worked with these sort of people before, and you remember I told you about the Euromomo baseline issue. They are not government tools trying to obfuscate and deliberately mislead you. What's happened is they've created an index, and they've created a very clever mathematical formula that has worked for years, and it's been very good. The correlation has been great, but we have gone through a period of such unusual change in behavior that suddenly their index doesn't work that well. It was never built to deal with all of the, and I mean this in no way nastily, but the cheaper buyers, the people who are buying the cheap properties, going away.
Yeah.
That it was never built for
again,
that.
And that's something that's a massive factor in this, is that a lot of entry level buyers aren't buying right now, which causes the average transaction value on what is still transaction to rise. Fishy Face says, surely this is a case of methodology modelling needs updating. Correct.
Of course, 100%.
Vince, good evening. Hello, mate. Nice to have you here.
Evening mofos. Nice job, Vince.
But what I wanted to point out to everybody, guys, is I think the really good question is, okay, if none of the media are reporting or questioning any of the data in these indices, why aren't they? And I would simply say, because, I don't know, maybe they haven't got the time, maybe they don't have the necessary skills to do it. You do, as you know, it's very time consuming.
Yes.
Okay. And guys, we all owe Alex a huge amount of thanks for uncovering this, because honestly, this is, unlike all of my previous explanations for my expectations of house price falls, this one only uses verifiable government data taken from actual completion prices of individual properties. So there is no question over the source of the data. There are endless debates to be had about the calculation, which is why I just want to go with the raw average.
Yeah.
Because you can't argue with that.
No, I agree.
Right? And the raw average is showing very large price drops across the board. The raw average of government house price transaction data is showing much larger drops across the board than is being reported anywhere. I don't know why. I don't care why, but that's what's happening. And now I'm so happy that we've got the data, and hopefully the BBC are now going to work with us.
I would love them to do the fucking work.
Well, if they can verify this and say, hey, look, there's no accusations being leveled anywhere here, but if you just do the basic maths on the raw data, it's a very different picture from what the indices are telling us.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, guys, a lot of people think that I am just welling a house price crash. Okay. My mission is just to help people moving, whether they're moving up, moving down. It's just moving. It's liquidity and freedom from friction in the house moving market. I have no influence, although some people do think I can talk markets up and down, but I can assure you I can't. I assure you I am not with my...
I've known Charlie since he was 11. He does not have godlike abilities.
No.
Although you did once get run over by a horse trailer.
I did.
And only lose a spleen.
Yes.
You didn't die.
I nearly did. I nearly bled out.
You were back at school. It was fine.
It's a few months. It was a few months. Anyway, so guys, please, the discrepancy. Please remember the discrepancy. And it's not a criticism. It's nothing. We're not saying anything's wrong, but there is a discrepancy between the indices and how they're calculated and the raw average. Yeah. That is where there is a discrepancy. That is a mathematical statement of fact. There is a discrepancy between what the indices are saying and what the raw averages are. I just want you to know that. And to all the people who are questioning that claim, you can go and check for yourselves, mofos.
and if you can prove me wrong in any of the data, I'll happily buy you a beer.
Yes. And this is actually something else I like. I often get people saying, Charlie, why do you never engage with people who disagree with you? It depends on the substance and quality of the disagreement. If someone actually comes along and says, well, Charlie, I disagree with your theory because X, look at what I've got, X, Y, Z, right? I welcome that because every time there's a constructive disagreement like that, at least one of us is going to learn something, which is always good. But when I get just an angry, that's just rubbish. It's just rubbish because I think this and I think, why do you think those things? Because why you think those things that are different to me matter more than what they are. It's like, is it just because it's what you feel? Or is it because you have data that actually suggests otherwise, or information, or anything? So I don't have time to engage in baseless opinion if it disagrees, but I will always make time to engage in reasoned argument that counters the points that I've made. Do we have any more questions on this, guys?
Well, no, but I'd like to agree with Vince. I disagree with his caps as well. Fucking ridiculous.
Well, my baseball caps.
A man of his age, it's just...
I'm not even wearing one tonight.
Exactly, that's what he says. He says, thankfully, it's not on for this stream.
You know where you can stick it, Vince. That's where you can stick it. Now, okay. Greetings from Cash.
Agree with Sasha. I'm on the UK, but he seems to think the US stock market is going to be fine and there is no US recession coming. Do you agree with this? No, I really don't. They are protected. They are sheltered because they are currently the reserve currency. But I'm not sure that shelter is going to last far too much longer. They have a very different issue in terms of debt than we do. They have an issue in that they've got so many homeowners who bought in the last few years at 2.5% fixed for 30 years that their banks have a problem. And I think the NASDAQ is massively overvalued and is likely to crash. And also their debt servicing costs are vast. I mean, they've just borrowed. They had opened the floodgates for one day and borrowed $500 billion in a day. They currently stand at $33 trillion of public debt. That's 4% of the overall, 10% of the overall global debt in their public debt, but they only have 4% of the population. I'm not sure how long the global currency status can shelter them, protect them. The US, and let's face it, that's where all of this shit started. It's where all the shenanigans in finance. I mean, you could blame the Italians in the 15th century. You can say those bankers screwed us. You could blame the British were pretty bad. But actually, the Americans have turned it into an art form over the last 100 years. Yeah. And the last time they let rip, was the 1920s, and boy, that was fun for the world.
Right, let's bring it back to
World War II.
Let's bring it back to house prices. We have a really interesting question here, which actually was a topic we discussed in our meeting at the BBC. Okay, so we pointed out that the cheaper flats aren't selling and the expensive ones are. Expensive flats are selling because of the downsizing.
Yeah.
Right.
When I move out of my 7-bedroom property, I at least want a penthouse flat.
So not seeing price falls yet in the flats in the posher northeast area of Leeds. And again, where you are, there are...
No, but hang on. Are you seeing lots of relatively cheap flats in the poor end of Leeds not selling? Because the first-time buyers in their 20s who would normally have bought those flats just can't afford to buy because interest rates have meant that their mortgage is not sufficient.
Neither me nor Alex is expecting a change in the interest rate tomorrow.
No.
And in fact, I did a survey on Twitter. Well, I should have got the final results. I'll look it up. I asked a whole bunch of you, and on YouTube, in fact, I asked you both. Where is it?
Let's put it this way. There's no way it's going down. There's an 80% chance it's staying the same. And there is a 20% chance if some of the more unusual creatures on the MPC that it will go up 0.25. But the reality is all of my money is on a hold tomorrow. They want to hold for at least 3 months in order to see what effect they've had on the economy.
So we got 9% thinking 0.5% increase, 23% thinking 0.25% increase, 64% leaving unchanged, and 4% think it's going to get lowered.
I'm part of the 63.8%.
Yeah, those are the results.
Does Stig ever show his face? Never, Steph. Never.
And the results on YouTube were broadly similar, actually. Yep, 60% say leaving unchanged. 1.3 thousand of you voted on YouTube, and 1.3 thousand. So that's 2,600 people voting. That's a pretty good turnout, actually.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for that. Okay. Any other points on this? So there was another. I got a couple of messages I wanted to bring up here.
Stig AI.
Nick Jones made the average person should be the median person.
Oh my God, you communist! You have fucking read under the bed. Watch him.
And there's a question here from Fishy Face. The sample size from September 23 was a lot smaller. Can we have an update when more data is available? Yes, obviously.
Yes, yeah, 100%.
It is small, but it's not nothing.
No, hang on.
Yep.
It is roughly 10% of the overall set, and therefore stats will tell you that should give you, with a 95% confidence, a plus or minus 1.5%.
Yep.
That's what a 10% stat normally does.
Will you just put your fingers here so that people know that
I'm not AI. Oh,
Alex
actually, fuck that.
Yes,
I'm not AI. Yeah. I am wine eye.
Right. Okay, guys. I think it might be time to wrap this up.
Oh God, no, James L. I think I could recognise Stig from his smooth but alarming voice. I was with Bonnie in Westfield, and we went into. She saw some pictures of bunnies on a wall.
Yes.
Are you taking one of Monica's candles? Oh, anyone?
These are not 3D printed.
If anyone would like to buy a Monica Vahulet's skull candle, by the way, if you ask nicely, she can do a red brain inside it. So when you melt it, the blood comes out of the eyes. She did especially. Give me the black one. The black one with the red in it is fantastic.
It's like a red in it.
Yeah, that's mine. That has the red. She makes one for me every year. It's got a red brain in the middle. And when you burn it, the red comes out of the eyes. They're fantastic. Anyway.
These are made in... You got moulds, haven't you?
Yeah, Molly makes them.
Yeah, not 3D printed.
No.
Handmade moulds.
And she can make them scented too. But anyway, ignoring that. We were in Westfield.
So cool. So cool.
Halloween. We were in Westfield and there was this art gallery thing, Clarendon or whatever. And it had some comic bunny art. So we went in because Bonnie she loves bunnies, so we had to go in and have a look at the bunny things. And the guy at the desk, who was in his mid-30s, Errol Flynn moustache, tweed sort of waistcoat, he goes, "Oh, you have you have a terribly distinctive voice.
Well,
And I went, it's just loud. Sorry. I was talking a bit loud. He goes, no, I'm sure I've heard you before. I said, well, I wouldn't know where. Well, unless you're a YouTube sort of fan, I've done a few videos with Charlie in the movie. He goes, yes, are you housing Stig? Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. I mean, you wear your leather jacket everywhere and people were, this is why I'm never on video. I do not want.
No.
I've been out with Charlie a few times where people have come up and shaken your hand, you know, as we're standing in Battersea Power Station, just having a drink, as you do. I'm like, no, I don't want to be recognised. This fucker recognised my voice.
That's so cool. From the videos.
Yes.
From these videos.
Because I don't know where I know you from. Where would I have heard your voice? Have you done radio?
Guys, right, we're going to wrap this up soon unless you've got any last minute questions. Any last minute questions? Did Stig narrate 50 Shades? Ha ha.
I didn't narrate it. I lived it. I fucking lived it.
Question, see my question above. Sorry, Rob, can you copy and paste it? Because how far above? Oh, here we are. With incomes rising, but still less than inflation net of tax, how does this compare with your original forecast? And if it's much different, what does that do to the peak to trough forecast fall? But incomes are rising, but do
you want me? The reality is, it is why house prices have not fallen as far and as fast as the prediction was 9 months ago.
Well, hang on, we don't know because there isn't an index of actual house prices, and there's a lag.
There is. Regardless of all of that, house prices have not fallen as far and as fast as...
You don't fucking know!
Okay. And wages, basically the answer is wages have propped them up. However, if you look at the economy in general, I think you'd have to be the bullish of bulls. You'd have to be the most optimistic person on earth to think that given the financial performance of most companies, given the reduced consumer spending because their money is being spent servicing debt, that wages are going to continue to rise. Yeah. In fact, because they have risen so fast over recent months, sadly, that is going to mean, when they say, be careful what you wish for because it may come true. Yeah, people fought to get higher wages. That, unfortunately, means that they are now more sackable. Because when you cut costs, you want to cut the biggest costs. And if you just had to raise a lot of wages, when you come to cutting costs, you have to cut a lot of stuff.
There's also this, there's real wage growth, which is actual nominal wage growth minus inflation. And then there's what I would call actual wage growth, which is after you've also taken away the effect of the tax increases,
which is 5%.
Yeah. So if you include inflation and the tax changes, the real increase in actual income is still negative.
Oh yeah.
Despite these wage growth. Okay. So Anyway. Okay. The questions. So Rob. Okay. I don't think no. Okay.
No, I can answer Rob's question. The answer is the original model, which suggested an 18% fall by Christmas, is wrong because wages have risen much more than we suggested then. I thought real wages would be down minus 5% by now. They're actually at 0, but inflation has got to exactly where I thought it would be, and interest rates have got to exactly where I thought they would be. So that's why we're saying now probably down 11%, 11.5% by Christmas.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Right, guys. You're awesome.
Jesus, it's 12:30, man.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for watching. And please remember to tell everyone about the discrepancy.
Oh, hang on. Il Gomez 96. If you want that candle, Monica can sell you one.
So if you want that candle, you've got to find Alex on Twitter. I should put his Twitter handle up. Here we are. We'll call the nihilist.
Who said I'm a nihilist?
Me.
You utter bastard.
I think that was the day you said, this is why I drink.
I am a realist, and that is why I drink.
So that's Alex. He's Alex Groundwater on X. Okay.
Oh, Patricia, you've been quiet all chat. Hello. I hope everything is good with you. You've been kind of much quieter.
4 candles. Oh,
4 candles. Oh, I love that. I had to explain it to Moni.
Oh my God!
I'd like 4 candles.
That's magic. That's magic. Okay, I almost want to just play that clip.
We should do and we should do the BlackBerry clip as well.
I know. Listen, most of you will have seen this, but if you haven't seen this, I'm going to just
4 candles is so good.
Okay, hang on. It is worth it. I know it's late, but this is a good thing to end on. Here we are. Got to find the right place. Hold on, guys. Hold on. Stick with it, because if you haven't seen this, you will enjoy it. Hang on a second. Oh, hang on. Wait, I've got to go back because he's just said 4 candles. Messed it up.
Here you are. 4 candles.
No, 4 candles.
Well, there you are. 4 candles.
No, 4 candles. Handles for forks.
Guys, I'll let you watch. Guys, I will let you watch that. I just put the link to that in the live chat if you want to watch the rest of it. Enjoy. Otherwise, all of you, thanks for watching. Thank you, Alex, again.
Cheers, Charlie.
For helping uncover the discrepancy.
I love the discrepancy.
And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye. Have a good night.